Hey everyone, and welcome to another installment of the Skull Mug. Now I know what you're thinking, it's been quite a while since I've done one of these, and for good reason. I honestly just don't really drink all that much anymore, so I haven't really been keeping up to date with this series. I've pretty much more or less stopped buying alcohol, whether at bars or here at home. However, I haven't given it up entirely. You know, if there is a special occasion, I'll still have some drinks or whatnot. But yeah, I'm definitely not doing it as much as I used to. Also, if I sound weird, it's because I'm feeling a little bit under the weather at the moment. It's not COVID, tested for it a couple times, and it seems that I don't have it. It's probably just a common cold because it is November and it's just that time of the year. But yeah, for this episode, we have something very special here. This is the official Traxide beer. Yes. Check that cool art out. This is awesome. I love this. This can is fucking excellent. I'm obsessed with it. When I finish drinking this, I'm definitely keeping this can. And for those of you who don't know, I mean, if you've been watching this channel, you probably know what Traxide is. It's a DIY venue here in Montreal. My own bands, Mistwalker and Ratpiss, have played there untold amount of times. It's one of my favorite places in Montreal to go see shows. The crowd there is always crazy. Definitely love playing there. Don't go there as much as I used to these days, but you know, I have to give Traxide a huge shout out for being the place where Ratpiss really cut our teeth. So yeah, this beer, it is a 5.2%. It's a Mexican lager. It's brewed and packaged at Microbrasserie Hop Station in Coaticook, which Ratpiss is actually playing a show at tomorrow with Jetsam as of the recording of this video. Recording this, probably going to put this up tonight on November 10th. That show is tomorrow, November 11th, so if you want to come see us, we're playing there. Also, we're doing a show at Turbo House on November 12th, Sunday. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, this is a sick can as well. The illustration is done by Emile Roy Leclerc. So yeah, I love this can. Gonna crack it open. I don't have the titular skull mug here with me at the moment, but I don't care. I just want to have a beer, man. I feel rotten after the last couple of days. Let me tell you, the common cold, it can still fuck with you. The interesting thing about this beer is not the first time I've had it. I did have it recently. This is a new release, by the way. This only came out like maybe a month or two ago. I've had it once since then. And the thing about it is that it's actually quite sweet. It's a lot sweeter than I expected it to be. It's kind of like, you know, a typical lager, but that extra, I don't really know what the notes are, you know, it's kind of hard to describe. They're not quite fruity, they're more like, I mean, it is fruity, but it's like, it's not tangy fruit, it's more just like really sweet fruit to the point of being like almost artificial, but not really. And yeah, it's that kind of mixed with the taste of Pabst or like Moosehead or something like that. But I think this is superior, personally. Though my opinion may be biased. But what I wanted to talk about in this installment is simply to just recount the events of the recent tour that Ratpiss did in the United States. It's the first time that we had gone to another country to play music, which is a hugely monumental step, in my opinion, for us. I've played shows in the United States before with other bands, but it wasn't really, well, for one, it wasn't my own music. It wasn't something I had been personally creatively involved in. And number two, it was in a professional capacity with the band Fog Lake, where I was their live drummer, and yeah, I got paid like, as if it was just like another job, basically. Whereas this, what we were doing with Ratpiss, is a lot more guerrilla. It's a lot more underground. It's a lot more, I guess, punk, for lack of a better term, of just going across the border and playing shows and, doing that kind of thing. So, the first show that we played was in not Burlington, but Winooski, which is actually the sister city of Burlington. And it's kind of like, if you're in Ottawa, Ottawa is shared with Gatineau, which is just like separated by a river. You just have these two cities that are more or less functionally the same city, but they're just called different things because one side is more French, one side is more English, and they're literally separated by a razor thin border, that border being a river. And yeah, Winooski and Burlington, it's basically the same sort of situation. So we played a show at a venue called the Monkey House, and it was a fucking stacked bill. There was like 6 or 7 bands on this show. The first was called Violet Crimes. They were kind of like an old school punk band, like something you'd hear in like the 70s or maybe like the early 80s. Apparently Black Flag was a huge influence on them when I was talking to them. I didn't really hear much of that personally, except maybe like less of Black Flag's more eclectic weird shit and more of the like standard hardcore punk stuff that are some of their biggest songs, like Six Pack or Nervous Breakdown or stuff like that. Definitely gave me that kind of vibe for sure. We also played with a band called Blossom, which features one of the members of The Path, which Ratpiss has played with numerous times before. And they were one of my favorite bands that we played with on tour. Just really, really good, heavy, aggressive, hardcore power violence. Just an excellent band. I can't wait to play with them again, and I really hope they come to Montreal soon. Then there was Agra, who are named after the character from The Dark Crystal, which is funny because I literally watched that movie for the first time maybe like a week or two before leaving for tour. They were a husband and wife grindcore duo. Excellent, excellent stuff. Just like 12-minute set of punishing 30-second songs. Excellent. Love that band. They're really good. Really nice people too. We ended up crashing with them later. Trying to think of who else was on that bill. Obviously Corrupt World, who we were on tour with. Those guys, the nicest fucking dudes. I love them to death. They are also a really, really fucking good band. I can't really describe their music. It's just literally all I can describe it as is crust punk, because it's heavy, it's aggressive, it's very clearly punk, but it's like experimental, and the riffs are very like sludgy but also fast at the same time. I don't know, their sound is kind of hard to really pin down, to be honest. But yeah, they organized a lot of this tour, so eternal hails to the guys from Corrupt World. There was another band called Some Kind of Monster, or wait, no, not Some Kind of Monster, Some Kind of Nightmare. Some Kind of Monster is the Metallica documentary. Some Kind of Nightmare, they were cool. They were kind of just like another old school punk band, something that sounds like it would have come out of like maybe even the 90s, more like a well-known popular punk band from the 90s. Not really my thing, but they were nice people and they were very, talented at what they were doing. It just wasn't music that personally suited my tastes. And also Burlington is just like a beautiful city. It's absolutely gorgeous. I fell in love with Vermont while being there. It is a gorgeous state. If I ever found myself with a gun pointed to my head and forced to move to the United States, then Vermont is the state that I would choose. I'm trying to think if there was another band on that bill, and I think there was. Unfortunately, I can't remember them, which sucks. Oh well. The day after that, we were in Providence, Rhode Island, which was super cool. The day after the show, we ended up going to this cemetery where we visited the grave of H.P. Lovecraft. Of course, I mean, if you're like into metal and horror and you're going to go to Providence, I feel like that's kind of a thing you have to do. That's like a bucket list item. Go check out the grave of H.P. Lovecraft. And it was kind of cute. People had left like pencils and pens and stuff at his grave as a tribute to him being such a huge, influential author. And he's buried next to his parents. But yeah, the show that we played was at this bar called Dusk, which was a really, really cool venue. The vibe in there was kind of like Twin Peaksy a little bit. They had a gigantic painting of Kiefer Sutherland's character from The Lost Boys on one of the walls. They had the X-Files playing on the TV behind the bar, and they had this famous painting, I think, by Gustave Doré, of Arachne, who is a demon or something, or a figure from Greek mythology. She's like, you know, half woman, half spider, like the bottom half of a spider, top half of a woman. That painting was like the entire roof of that space. So yeah, aesthetically, one of the coolest venues I've ever played. I was super, super in love with it. Unfortunately, two of the bands that we were supposed to play with on that tour ended up dropping off. One of them because they literally broke up like a week or two before that show happened, and the other one, I forget the reason why. But we ended up playing with this band called Hostile Defendant, who were super cool, but they were also not from Providence. They're from Connecticut. So basically it was a band, it was a show of 3 touring bands, none of whom are local from this area. But it still ended up being pretty good. And yeah, I think Providence, it's a cute city, but it kind of has that like New York, Pittsburgh vibe of just like super industrial, lots of metal everywhere, kind of like suffering through a little bit of urban decay. Unfortunately, like the bar was in this really weird location where it looked like it was surrounded by a bunch of warehouses, so that was kind of strange. After that, it was to Philadelphia, which I had been to before. I'd never been to Winooski, and I'd never been to Providence. I have been to Burlington, and I've also been to Philadelphia. So it was cool to go back there. And the thing that immediately struck me about Philadelphia is the fact that there are so many fucking billboards in that fucking city, and 90% of them are for lawyers. Literally, you cannot drive through that city without being inundated with like fucking 40 or 50 billboards advertising lawyers. What is it about Philadelphia and law? I don't understand. But the show that we played was at this venue called Cousin Danny's, which is sort of a DIY spot, and it was organized by one of the guys from Zorn, and one of the other guys from Zorn ended up doing sound for us that night as well. Shout out to Eric and Harley, you guys rule. And that was probably my favorite show of the tour, purely because all the bands that we played with were fucking fantastic. The first band that played with was called Diuretic. They somehow sound like very, very similar to Ratpiss. I think they were the band that it was like shockingly similar to us. I don't know. I fell in love with them. I thought they were fucking incredible. One of the other bands was called Concrete Caveman, who are kind of like a grindy, like grindcore meets OSDM sort of vibe. And yeah, they were super, super cool as well. I'm struggling to remember who else was on that bill. I think it might have just been the 4 bands, Corrupt World, Ratpiss, Diuretic, and Concrete Caveman. If there was a 5th band and I'm forgetting you, I'm so sorry. When you play shows day after day after day after day, sometimes you struggle to remember who was on the bill. But every one of these bands left an impression on me, for sure. After that, the last day of our tour was back in Vermont in a town called Rutland, which has like a population of 8,000. You know, it's like a super small town. And we played at a church, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Rutland. And that was also a big bill. We once again played with Corrupt World, obviously, and also with a side project of some of the guys from that band called Baby Tigger. And we unfortunately showed up like halfway through their set, but what I caught of it I thought was super cool. Just really spastic grindcore that's all over the place. We played with Agra again. They came back and joined us because they're actually from Rutland, and we ended up crashing at their place that night. By the way, gorgeous, gorgeous house. Like, I am in love with Rutland as an area. Just like scenically, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's really got that rural New England vibe. And yeah, Agra's house, it's fucking awesome. They also do shows there sometimes in their basement, which is super cool. And we also played with a group called Black Axe, who were one of my favorites on the tour. They were the most like Greg core band I think that we played with. They had riffs that like kind of felt like they could have been old school heavy metal riffs, but then combined it with crust punk and like had that kind of drumming approach too. So they were super awesome. And also Chemtrails, another band that we played with for that show, they were really cool too. They had like a very, I don't know, their presence was just something else. Like they were like probably one of the more professional bands that we played with, I think. They looked like they'd been around for a long time. They felt it sounded and felt like they, like, you know, were professionals, that they've been doing this for like a while. And their sound was incredible. Their drummer in particular, fucking fantastic, as was their vocalist. He had like Morpheus style glasses, and he was just this kind of like big dude wearing all black with those glasses on, bald, huge, just, I don't know. It was like he could be the vocalist of a war metal band if he wanted to be. You know, that was the kind of the vibe. Their music was more kind of like, um, I want to say it was kind of like Amoebics, but like better. That's the best way I could think of to describe it. Like, I love Amoebics, don't get me wrong, but I think their music gets a little bit repetitive. So Chemtrails was kind of like that, but like more dynamic songwriting. Um, and yeah, it was overall just an incredible experience. Nothing really bad happened to us, which is always awesome. I feel like when you go on tour, you're always risking some fucking shit happening to you, and this went off without a hitch. I mean, it helped that it was only 4 days and that we didn't, plan this to be like a multi-week endeavor. We didn't take any days off. It was like we're getting in, we're doing it, and we're getting out as quick as possible. Um, Incredible experience, and honestly, I cannot wait to go back to the States again, which we might be planning to do soon. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed hearing about some of the cool things that we encountered on the Ratpiss American Tour in 2023. I'm certainly enjoying this beer from Traxide. Shout out Traxide. Shout out to Microbrasserie Hop Station. I'm excited to play at your venue tomorrow. And I'll see you in the next one. Until then, peace out.